Football is a sport that lives through eras. Each generation produces a superstar so electrifying that fans argue about him long after the retirement speeches are over. And today, the world is stuck in one of those debates that refuses to die. Is Kylian Mbappé already better than Cristiano Ronaldo was at the same age? It's a question that splits living rooms, destroys friendships, and forces teenagers on Twitter to write essays longer than their school homework. But beneath all the chaos is a fascinating story. Two careers, two legends, and one comparison that feels both impossible and inevitable. The meteor called Mbappé. To understand why this question even exists, you have to go back to the moment football realized it had a new problem. A teenage Frenchman running at defenders like a cheetah who had just discovered espresso. In 2017, Paris watched a kid not old enough to drink wine legally tear through Europe like it was his personal playground. Kylian Mbappé's rise wasn't a climb up a ladder. He launched himself into the stratosphere as if he had skipped the tutorial level and started the game at world domination. By 17, he was already frightening defenders in Ligue 1. At 18, he was scoring goals in Champions League knockouts, the kind of thing players with 10 years of experience still struggle to do without accidentally passing the ball out of bounds. And at 19, he performed a feat that freezes careers in history books, scoring in a World Cup final. The last time a teenager managed that, televisions weren't even a thing in most homes. Mbappé did it in an era where millions of people clip goals and upload them to TikTok before commentators even finish screaming. The comparisons to Pelé started immediately, not because the media loves exaggeration, although, yes, they absolutely do, but because Mbappé genuinely looked like football's future had arrived 15 years early. He wasn't promising or upcoming. He was already one of the most dangerous forwards alive, rewriting expectations faster than defenders could adjust their tactics. And while his journey began on the streets of Bondy, he stepped onto the world stage as if he had been built in a secret football laboratory. Cristiano Ronaldo, born through obsession, not just talent. But if you want to put Mbappé next to Cristiano Ronaldo, you must revisit the making of CR7, a story fueled less by natural gifts and more by an obsession so intense it could power a small city. Ronaldo's journey started on the rocky pitches of Madeira, where he learned quickly that the only way to survive physically was to play like gravity didn't apply to him. When he joined Sporting Lisbon, coaches were already whispering that he was something special, even though his skinny frame made him look like the wind could knock him over. Everything changed the moment he stepped into Manchester United. Under Sir Alex Ferguson, Ronaldo transformed from a flashy winger who loved stepovers into a weapon of terrifying efficiency. His body changed, his style changed, his mentality sharpened until it could cut through metal. By 23, he wasn't just good, he was winning a Ballon d'Or and scaring defenders across Europe. Ronaldo didn't rely on fate or hype. He built himself piece by piece, hour by hour, training session by training session, until he turned into a machine. That's the thing about Ronaldo. His greatness wasn't accidental, it was engineered. His story is a monument to discipline, sweat, and the famous stay after practice until the lights go off routine that made teammates resent him in the most respectful way possible. To compare Mbappé to him is to compare raw supernatural talent with refined, obsessive craftsmanship. Ronaldo's prime era, when football bowed to a force. Cristiano Ronaldo's prime, roughly 2007 to 2018, was the kind of era that doesn't just define football, it warps it. At Manchester United, he tore apart the Premier League, winning titles, scoring outrageous goals, and dominating Europe. Then came his iconic move to Real Madrid, where he built one of the greatest individual legacies the sport has ever witnessed. He scored 450 goals in 438 games, breaking mathematical rules in the process. He lifted 4 Champions League trophies. He delivered moment after moment that will replay for generations, including that overhead kick against Juventus that made even opposing fans stand up like respectful, heartbroken spectators. At his peak, Ronaldo wasn't a forward. He was an entire ecosystem. Headers, long shots, free kicks, acrobatic volleys, cold-blooded tap-ins. He mastered every scoring method available. He didn't just compete in big matches, he devoured them. Whether it was El Clasico, Champions League knockouts, or European finals, he delivered in moments where careers are either defined or forgotten. Ronaldo chose to define Mbappé's rise. And yet, Mbappé's early career is unlike anything football has seen in decades. By 25, he had already scored more than 250 goals. He racked up domestic titles with a level of consistency that made Ligue 1 defenders wish they had chosen a different sport. But his true masterpiece came on the world's biggest stage. The 2022 World Cup final felt less like a match and more like a narrative written by a dramatist who wanted to see how much chaos the human heart could handle. France were trailing. The pressure was suffocating. And in the middle of it, Mbappé delivered a World Cup final hat trick, something not even Messi, Ronaldo, Maradona, or Pelé ever achieved. 3 goals on the grandest stage of all, against the greatest player of his era. He didn't leave Qatar with the trophy, but he left with the undeniable truth that he rises when the lights burn their brightest. Few players in football history have owned the World Cup at such a young age. At 25, Mbappé already had 12 World Cup goals, more than Ronaldo has in his entire career. That alone is a stat powerful enough to spark arguments that last for weeks. The Champions League. Question. But greatness isn't measured only by the moments you conquer, it's also shaped by the mountains you haven't climbed. Mbappé's biggest missing piece is the Champions League, a trophy that Ronaldo dominated so completely that his name might as well be engraved on the side of the cup. Mbappé has delivered electric performances for PSG. He has caused nightmares for the world's best defenders. But football is cruel, and without that Champions League medal, critics will always say the story is incomplete. Ligue 1, fair or not, is accused of lacking the week-to-week intensity of the Premier League or La Liga. Ronaldo battled against rugged defenders and elite clubs every weekend. Mbappé, many argue, has not been pushed to the same limits, at least not yet. The final battlefield. Football legends aren't separated by talent alone. Mentality creates the gap between greatness and immortality. Cristiano Ronaldo's work ethic has been documented so many times, it feels like its own genre of storytelling. He lived in the gym. He trained after training. He perfected every tiny detail. His hunger to stay at the top didn't last 1 season or 2. It lasted nearly 20 years. Mbappé's mentality is strong, but still evolving. His decisions, such as rejecting Real Madrid once before reconsidering years later, show ambition, but also hint that he is still navigating the pressure of his global status. The question now is whether he possesses the same ruthless obsession, the same relentless drive to stay number 1 for a decade or more. 1 finished, 1 in progress. Cristiano Ronaldo's legacy is sealed. 5 Champions League titles, multiple Ballon d'Or awards, goal-scoring records that look like printing errors, a career that redefined the standards of what a forward can be. Mbappé's legacy is still a story in progress. It has massive chapters already written. World Cup dominance, goal-scoring brilliance, global superstardom. But the defining ones may still lie ahead. And if he wins the Champions League, especially with Real Madrid, the conversation will change instantly. Who is ahead at 25? Here's the honest truth. Mbappé at 25 is closer to Ronaldo at 25 than anyone expected. His numbers, his World Cup heroics, and his consistency are extraordinary. He is nearly parallel with Ronaldo's early trajectory, and in some categories, international success, he is far ahead. But Cristiano Ronaldo's prime remains the gold standard. His Champions League legacy, his sustained dominance, and his unbelievable mental durability keep him on top. Mbappé isn't there yet, but he is dangerously close. Close enough that Ronaldo can hear footsteps. And if Mbappé conquers Europe in the coming years, the debate may take a very different turn. For now, the king still sits on the throne. The prince, however, is approaching with purpose. And there you have it. 2 legends, 2 eras, and 1 debate that refuses to die. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and tell us who you think comes out on top. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more football breakdowns, player analyses, and stories that go far beyond the highlights. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.